6 days after the Rose's death, Joel is trying to get rid of the smile curse by killing a criminal. He waits outside a house and sees a car coming and then asks the criminal to go inside the house. He wants to kill this person in front of another criminal so he can pass the curse to the other person. They go inside and he stabs the criminal, but the other person fires and Joel also shoots his gun. The other criminal also dies, and Joel sees Lewis has seen all this, who is here to buy drugs. Joel says now he is the curse and goes out but sees other gang members there who shoot at Joel. Joel breaks window and runs outside, and others try to shoot at him, and suddenly Joel is hit by a car and dies. Next, we meet Skye, who is a pop singer who is making her comeback after being involved in an accident. She goes on a talk show where she talks about the accident which also killed his boyfriend Paul. She apologizes for using drugs and alcohol while driving and says she has changed now and looking forward. Skye's manager is her mom Elizabeth, and she has an assistant Joshua who take over her schedule. Later during dance practice, Skye hurts her back and we see scars on her body from the accident. She feels pain in her back and messages her friend Lewis to buy some Vicodin from him, and he agrees. She quietly leaves her hotel and goes to Lewis's house, and he is the one whom we saw at start with Joel. He lets her in and asks Skye why has she come here and doesn't remember texting her and looks scared. Lewis is high on drugs and apologizes for his behavior and says something weird is happening with him. He goes to get Vicodin, and Skye sees her own news on TV and closes it and calls for Lewis to hurry up. Lewis comes screaming and starts choking and then smiles, which scares Skye, and Lewis gets up. He takes a barbell plate and smashes his face with it and kills himself, and Skye vomits on seeing this. She decides to call the police but stops because if she is caught with drugs, her career will be over. She comes back to her hotel and drinks water and sees she is losing her hair and feels someone is in her room while sleeping. The curse has been passed on Skye, and next day Elizabeth asks her to call her best friend Gemma. They had fought a year ago and stopped talking, and Elizabeth feels Gemma would make Skye happy. The show manager Darius comes to meet Skye and says he has arranged a special fundraising dinner. He wants Skye to be a presenter there for underprivileged children, and she agrees to be there. Later she checks on Google whether vomit has DNA sample and decides to message Gemma to meet. She gets message from unknown number asking if she was there at Lewis's house last night. She gets scared and hears a noise and then sees Lewis is standing behind her and makes her smile. She calms down and others come to meet her, and Skye says she isn't comfortable with her dress. Her scars are visible with lighting and she doesn't like it and decides to change her dress, and others agree. Later Skye does fan meetup and clicks pictures with her fans and meets a crazy fan who tries to get close. This fan is taken away by security, and next she meets a girl who smiles weirdly like Lewis. Skye signs her shirt, and the girl says nothing and just looks at her, and Skye feels weird and scared. Later she calls Gemma and leaves her message to call her back and receives a call from her. Skye invites her to her hotel and Gemma agrees, and Skye drinks some water and plays the piano. She hears a noise and sees her bottle is broken and checks her door lock and decides to clean the mess. She sees the crazy fan's shirt lying on the floor along with other clothes and sees him standing naked. He runs towards her and Skye runs towards the door and opens it and sees Gemma has come to meet her. Gemma asks what's wrong and Skye says someone is here and sees her bottle is okay and nothing is on floor. She hugs Gemma and asks how did she come so fast, but Gemma says she talked with her an hour ago. Skye is confused and drinks water to calm down as her doctor had suggested, and Gemma is worried. She asks what is wrong and Skye tells her about Lewis and what happened with him, and Gemma is scared. Skye says she keeps hallucinating and seeing Lewis, and Gemma says she will spend the night with her. At night Skye dreams about the accident and wakes up and then talks to Gemma and apologizes to her. Suddenly, she sees Gemma is smiling and she gets scared and gets up and sees it morning already. She realizes she's late for her rehearsals and quickly goes to studio and dances with the crew and practices. She breaks her leg and screams in pain, and the rehearsal stops and Skye sees her leg is fine and has no injury. She feels embarrassed and goes to her room and sees Joshua coming out and see her room is destroyed. She calls her mom and then shouts at Joshua for doing this, but Elizabeth says he was with her all time. Elizabeth asks if Skye is using drugs again, but she gets angry and says no and says she is not ready for tour. Elizabeth says she is to calm down and get ready for Darius's foundation event, as it's important. Skye isn't happy going but agrees and goes and messages Gemma to come meet her soon. She receives another message from unknown number which says they know she is Skye the singer. Skye gets scared and gets called on stage and begins her speech reading from the teleprompter. The teleprompter screen stops and Skye doesn't know what to say, so she starts talking about herself. She talks about her drug use and what hardships she had to face in music industry, and all get upset. The teleprompter starts again and she reads from it and says she is introducing the next guest, Paul. She realizes she called her dead boyfriend's name and sees him sitting at table and come towards her. He is also smiling and walks towards her, and Skye screams and closes her eye and see Paul vanishes. She suddenly sees Paul again and mistakenly pushes an old lady off the stage and badly injures her. Darius and Elizabeth apologize to organizer for her behavior, and at night Skye receives another message. She is told she is in danger and has to come for a meeting, and she isn't imaging things but they are real. They send her a video of Lewis where he says he sees something staring and smiling at him. Skye also gets scared and decides to meet the person and goes to a bar and sees a man waiting for her. The man named Morris says he was following Lewis and went to his house and saw his body and found Skye's number as last dialed and contacted her. He says Lewis was infected by a curse the same way his brother was, and this causes people to see things. This curse infects new host within 7 days and makes them kill themselves in front of new victim. Then it passes onto this victim and the cycle repeats, and Skye sees her mom is calling her and gets scared. Morris says 8 people have died before her, and he can stop her heart artificially to make it look like Skye has died. This can stop the curse, and Skye feels this plan is crazy, and Morris says she has only 3 days remaining. Some people recognize Skye, and she runs from there and quickly comes back to her hotel room. She drinks some water and decides to leave, but feels pain in her back and gets angry and breaks a glass. She takes some pills and goes out and sees backup dancers in her room standing and smiling at her. Skye gets scared and decides to run out but sees them following her and sees they are all over the room. They move weirdly towards her and then catch her and throw her around the room, and someone puts a big arm in her throat. Skye blacks out, and at the time of accident with Paul, Skye was taking drugs and fought with him. She purposely crashed her car and caused the accident, and Skye wakes up in a retreat with Elizabeth. She was found in her hotel room dehydrated and unconscious, and Elizabeth tells her to rest for the day. She says they will together go to the show tomorrow, and Skye says she is not well to perform in show. Elizabeth says if show is cancelled, her career will be over and everyone will think she is in drug recovery again. They will be in debt in over millions of dollars, and Elizabeth says she has sacrificed so much to be here. Skye says she cannot do this and suddenly sees Elizabeth smiling, and she goes and breaks the mirror. Elizabeth takes the glass and stabs herself in neck and then the eye, and Skye runs from there. She suddenly sees she is holding the glass and her clothes are covered in blood, meaning she killed Elizabeth. She is scared and says this is not real, but sees Elizabeth's body and cries and hears Joshua outside the room. She asks him to get her a soda and then wears a shirt to cover the blood and hides the body with bedsheet. She goes outside and decides to escape, but Joshua recognizes her, and the guards come to stop her. Skye grabs a gun and threatens everyone and escapes from there and goes outside and hurts her leg with glass. She meets Gemma, who has come to meet her, and Skye robs a car, and Gemma decides to go with her. She sends a message to Morris to meet and asks Gemma to drive to the location. He assents. Gemma says she needs to go to hospital for her injury, but Skye asks her leave her alone and go. Suddenly Skye gets a call from Gemma, who says sorry not returning her calls and messages. Skye sees Gemma with her was a hallucination and realizes she herself is driving the car. She drives to the location and meets Morris and asks him to do the procedure to get rid of the curse. Morris says he has set up a freezer, so her body doesn't shut down after her heart is stopped. They go inside and Morris asks her to lie down and prepares the injection and goes out to get something. She feels scared and sees the Skye from accident who drags her and throws Skye around the room. She attacks Skye and tries to make her smile, but Skye takes the injection and bites her fingers. She injects herself in the neck, but sees other Skye is still there who says this is not real. Skye sees the injection is missing and tries to run towards the door, but finds it locked. The other Skye tells Skye is not in control and locks her, and Skye finds herself on stage. Her clothes are changed and she is in front of a huge audience and sees Joshua, Darius, and Elizabeth cheering for her. She realizes her past few days have been a hallucination from time she wore this costume. The other Skye stands in front of her and tears her stomach and reveals the true form of the creature. Skye screams and falls down, and the creature puts his hands in her mouth and stretches it to make her smile. The crowd sees Skye just laying on the stage, where she gets up and smiles weirdly at everyone. She then takes her mic and stabs herself in the eye and kills herself in front of everyone and passing on the curse.